Hi, I'm Alex with Whiskey Logic, and today we have something really exciting. We're going to be reviewing two Meikle Toir single casks. All right, so we've got the PX here on the left. It's got quite an intense aroma already. Got a little bit there. And we'll crack this. Make sure this doesn't completely explode on impact here. Get that out of there. All right, there we go. Kind of no real cork noise there, but I was a little bit worried on the fresh crack. As you can see, they have a pretty intense, kind of this dark, syrupy mahogany color on both of them here. And it's pretty hard to discern which is actually darker than the other. Probably really active cask is my guess, and at 7 years, this might be quite intense. The Meikle Toir Turbo, which is their limited release, is generally peated around 70, 71. I think this year was 72 ppm. I actually don't have a number for these, so I'll need to go and take a look. But my guess is that it's most likely probably in like the 30, 40 range, but not completely sure there. All right, so we're going to take a nose here, just double checking this is the PX cask here on this side, and this will be the Oloroso. Super rich. Oh my gosh, super, super rich. Right out of the glass, it's pretty fruity up front on that first half second on the nose, and then it gets really kind of nutty and dark. Ooh, it's really already deepening. This has only been in the glass for what, just 30 seconds, and oh, it's really really nutty and rich. That is quite intense. So we'll go here to the Oloroso. And I'm kind of trying to see if I have, much of a difference between the two. I think there'll be a lot of similarities in the flavor. The Oloroso actually has a little bit more orange to me. Still like some dark like cherries I'm getting on both, like some real rich like cherry notes because it's got this little brightness up front and then it gets really dark and kind of musty and nutty, super super nutty. I'm getting a little bit of leather on that as well. Okay, so kind of going back here now to the PX cast, it definitely is feeling a little bit brighter on the nose with more fruits. A little bright fruits and cinnamon. Let me go back to the Oloroso. Honestly, it's a little hard to tell them apart. Other than like in terms of the actual notes, the notes are super similar. I'd say the Oloroso right now is just feeling a little less bright than this PX cast, but they are just fresh cracks. I expect them to change and evolve in the glass here, and then also obviously as I get through the bottle. Some real nice nuttiness and cinnamon here as well. And some really good cherry notes. They smell fantastic. Like they both smell really really good. If I'm going off of memory of this, like these are quite a bit higher ABV than the turbo. I believe the turbo is at 50% ABV. I actually have it right back here. Yep, 50%. They don't necessarily smell like they're at a 60% ABV, so they're pretty approachable, but super 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 rich. All right, let's have a taste here of the PX. Oh, that is really, really good. It's really, really rich. It's more like a sweet ginger. I've got some honey in here, really fruity. As it's kind of coming back to the end of the back palate. Um, It really, really lingers with like kind of a nice spice up front, and then just this really nice kind of rich honey cherry kind of finish. I think on here, what do they say here? The taste, they got spiced orange and plum jam at the end. I think the jammy notes are apparent kind of throughout because it's just so rich. It's got like an excellent mouth coat to it. Here, I'll read a few of the notes here. They're really similar on both. This is saying on the taste, on the palate, it's got smoked almonds and honeycomb and fig syrup, orchard fruits, treacle tart, spiced orange, and plum jam. I know this says the same thing for spiced orange and plum jam at the end, which is hilarious. So it'll be interesting if I can actually really tell them apart. But really, really nice. At 60.1%, I mean, this is my first whiskey of the day here, and I'm not getting any ethanol punch at all. It's just extremely rich and active, really delicious. And the peat is there. So this is their peat line. I didn't mention peat, I think, on either of the noses. And it is there. I think having kind of the Meikle Toir product before, it's there, but it's not necessary. The turbo is a little more prominent, but here it's a little bit more muted in the background, where I'm almost thinking I'm drinking a really rich, spiced GlenAllachie, unpeated product. It is there, a bit tingling on the end of the finish. My gosh, that is extremely good. Um, so rich. I think for people that aren't haven't necessarily dove into the full peated aspect of whiskey, that it might come across more apparent than it is to me right now. Now that I am focusing on it, it's definitely there on the mid palate all through kind of that first part of the finish, and it does linger. But it's not necessarily an intense. It's not a peat bomb. This is a PX sherry cask, single cask with a very active cask. Looking at this color, it's it's a sherry bomb through and through, and it's fantastic. I'm gonna be right back and grab some water. I forgot to because I want to cleanse my palate here before I go into this Oloroso, so to see if I have any taste differences. All right, we now have some water. Just had some water, and we're gonna take a look here at the Oloroso again. Ooh, I'm almost up front. I don't know if it's because I was focusing a little bit more on the PX, but getting a little bit more peat and spice actually through the front of the palate first. And I am getting a bit more orange on this Oloroso cast still. It's really, really rich and nice as well. I'll read the tasting notes here from GlenAllachie on the bottle. It's candied hazelnuts, rich cocoa, smoked heather honey. I was getting kind of a heather honey and like leather. I was getting a bit of, followed by baking spices, raisin butter, sweet cigar smoke with spiced orange and plum jam. They kind of both finish the same way. There is a bit more of a smoky, kind of earthy note to this Oloroso cast than I am getting on the PX. It's great. It's really, really wonderful. Um, I'm getting a lot of cherry notes on both, pretty intensely. Like I'd say more than average for a big sherry bomb. I think the reason why they say raisin butter is it's just got such a nice buttery, oily mouthfeel to it. It's really nice. As we're waiting here, I'm actually going to add some water here to the PX cask, and then I'm going to add just a bar spoon of water here. I'm actually going to add two, kind of proof this down a bit, see if it opens up, and then I'll get to I'll get to this one here in just a moment. Here, this is the PX cask with 2 teaspoons of water in it. I'll let that sit for just a second, and let's go back to this Oloroso again. These are just absolutely fantastic. Honestly, they're better than I expected. I love the Turbo. Absolutely love GlenAllachie as a distillery. They're one of my favorite distilleries. I'd say this year they're 100% in the top three. I'll be doing a video on kind of ranking my distilleries this year and some of my favorite bottles from 2025. And these might make the list. They're so good. Yeah, getting some really nice like that heather leathery spice peat, and it's got all of those dark fruits, that really buttery mouthfeel, really really nice. And the orange is they have the orange kind of flavor profile on both. It's just there as a hint with it's almost like an orange bitter, you could say, but just really really fantastic. I'm gonna add a little bit of water here to my Oloroso cask, and then we'll go into the PX, let it sit a little bit and see if it changes, see if the nose changes. I know that 2 teaspoons. I know that let's leave this on the table. Why not? All right. I know that these haven't been open very long. That's what I was trying to say earlier. So given some time in the glass, I think, if I let these out for 45 minutes, add a little water to them, they're really going to open up. A lot more flavors are going to come out. Right now, they're honestly still fantastic out of the bottle. And if they get better, that would be great. But I love it just kind of the way it is. PX a little bit more actually intense on the nose with a little bit of water, but it's gone a little fruitier. I'd say it was already fruity. Both of them are very fruity, but the Oloroso being a little bit kind of darker. This PX is really really like bright cherries right now. I'd say almost the any peat smoke has even gotten a little muted. Wow, on the palate, really takes water well. I'm not somebody who generally likes to add a lot of water to my whiskeys. More often than not, I find personally that it doesn't necessarily enhance the experience for me in most cases, unless it's a whiskey I actually don't like straight up. I generally add water, and it will almost always improve the flavor. But in most cases, I don't. This is really nice with water, the PX. Almost those dark, any sort of dark spice notes have kind of gone away, and it's just very fruit forward. Before going back to this Oloroso here, these just both smell incredible. Honestly, so the PX with water took it really nicely. The Oloroso right now also is kind of coming across a little softer. I generally find the opposite happen when I add water. I usually get a more intense nose, but it's quite a bit softer, a little bit more orangey, and a little bit more peat is coming through on this Oloroso for me on the nose than the PX. Maybe because those bright flavors are kind of masking some of that. This one tastes more peated. I don't know if it is. It's from the same run, so it can't be. But this tastes quite a little more intense on the peat and spice. It's really good. Get some fruity notes on here. I added 2 teaspoons to this. Honestly, I could probably add more to both. I could add 3 or 4 and really kind of proof it down. It drinks super, super nice. I'd say the finish on this Oloroso is quite a bit more intense than the PX. It's really spicy. It's smokier. It's not still not like a peat bomb, but it is quite a bit more intense with the water. It enhances that for sure. I think it's a little less jammy and buttery with the water. It's more. It actually gets a little more fresh like the PX, but really really nice. Okay, let's come to the verdict here. So we have the PX Oloroso, both fantastic. Honestly, other than the brightness and kind of more leathery peat versus and cherry orange versus just really bright kind of fruits here mixed in with those like gingers and caramelized sugars. It's really hard to discern which one I'd have more of the other. They're super similar whiskeys in all honesty. but it's cool to see kind of some of the nuances between the two. They both take water exceptionally well. I would highly recommend adding water to both, experiencing it both ways. And actually, after this is over, or I stop recording, I'm going to go ahead and add some more. Um, if I'm rating them on the day, I think I'm going to give them the exact same rating because it's just an on the day which one I prefer more. Um, I'm gonna give these both 90s out of 100. I think they're actually absolutely incredible. They've honestly exceeded my expectations. Coming into this fresh crack, I was thinking, okay, like 87, 88. I kind of doubt they'd go 89 or higher. These are some of the best whiskeys I've had the entire year. So super happy I got picked these up. If you can get your hands on them, highly recommend it. Or any single cask that they have Meikle Toir has coming forward. I'm sure we're going to start seeing a lot more in the coming years. But yeah, I'm going to give them both a 90 out of 100. Incredible stuff. On the day at first tasting, and it's based off my palate. We're just wrapping up Thanksgiving week here in the U.S., so everything's been super rich in terms of the foods we're eating. I'm gonna go lean towards the PX on just a little bit of a brighter profile. It's still very dark, rich whiskey, but it's a little bit brighter than this Oloroso cask. I think more often than not, I actually lean towards this Oloroso. A little more of that kind of leather, heather, honey, spice, and smoke. Specifically the finish. The finish lingers quite a bit more, especially with water on this Oloroso. But on the day, I'm going to give it to the PX cask. Both 90 out of hundreds. Highly recommend if you can get your hands on it. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, shoot me a comment. And if you have one of these, it'd be awesome to see what you think about it. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.